Carrie, we close that door. Okay, we are recording. Dr. Oliveris was going to try to join us through Zoom, but this time she's not connected. She did send me a message this morning saying that she was unsure if she would be able to connect given the location that she was going to be at. So I haven't heard from her, so apparently she's not able to connect. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the UT Tyler University Academy Board meeting held for Thursday, September the 13th, 2018 at 12 o'clock. The meeting is held at the University Academy Conference Room here in the main building at 3900 University Boulevard. So at this time, we would like to confirm that we do have a quorum. We do have 4 board members present. So, okay, and stand for the pledge. Thank you for standing. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, so at this time, the first item on the action item is our consent agenda. Did the board members have an opportunity to review the consent agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I'm going to pull it up. So, okay, you're able to pull it up too. Okay, do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
I'll move that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, so the consent agenda has been approved. The next item, the action item, is the request for approval of the district improvement plan. I can speak to each one of these. As you can see on the consent agenda, on the action item agenda, we have the district improvement plan. We also have a campus improvement plan, one for the Tyler campus, the Longview campus, and the Palestine campus. So I think what you're going to see, there are things that are going to overlap in the improvement plans. So in an improvement plan, what you're going to see is that there are going to be kind of main objectives, and so the campuses may have different activities that are addressed specifically in their campus improvement plan. I'll give you an example. Each one of the campuses have an after-school program, but they're somewhat organized a little differently. So, for example, in Palestine, the after-school program is done through the YMCA. So, in her improvement plan, and we also utilize Title I funds to support that plan. Or just support that program. So in her plan, it's specifically going to speak to that opportunity that is afforded to the students in Palestine, whereas in Tyler and Longview, it might just state that we have an after-school program that's done in-house. But the overall objectives of the goals of the plan are the same, and so the activities that each of the plans address can be different. But the goals, just to kind of go over the goals of the plan, and these are very similar to what you would see if you went to pull up a traditional ISD's campus improvement plan and probably another charter school improvement plan. You're going to look at student achievement. You know, are students being successful on state standards? You're going to also look at the curriculum. How is the curriculum? Is there an integration of technology? Is there opportunities for success within the curriculum for all students? So when we talk about all students, we're talking about students that are served under SPED, students that are served under bilingual, GT students. Does that curriculum support all students? And so those are the things that are addressed in the plan as well. School climate, safety. So, what are we doing to ensure that we are providing a safe school environment? And so those things such as looking at fire drills and having a good relationship with the officer on the campus, meeting with the teachers and providing them an overview of the safety procedures. And so, so I think you would see that that's very similar to most plans. They're going to talk about, are we ensuring that students are getting the curriculum, academically being successful? Are we ensuring that that students are safe? That the fourth goal is going to look at that homeschool relationship. How are we involving parents and to ensure a quality education? Attendance. Attendance drives the budget. If students aren't in attendance, students can't graduate. They can't be promoted. So again, looking at what are we doing to monitor attendance? What are we doing to address those students that are having attendance issues? The attendance committees and things such as will be noted under that goal. Looking at the resources and ensuring that that students are provided opportunities to for careers opportunities, such as looking at a career counselor, looking at CTE programming, internships, and things like that would be listed under those goals. Goal 7 looks at your teachers. How do we ensure that we promote high quality ongoing staff development and ensuring that we have master level teachers? And so under that goal would be specific things such as, we offer teachers an opportunity, or we require teachers to get a master's degree. We pay for their college. We have teachers come, those new teachers come 2 weeks in, 2 weeks before the start of the school year, or 2 weeks in the summer, those brand new teachers, and they receive intense training by our coaches and things like that. So a improvement plan is basically to take these goals that we feel like that are areas that in order for a school to be successful, these goals, you have to be successful in all of these goals in these areas. And so then under the goal, you begin to look at activities. And so I've named a few of those as we've discussed the goals. And you look at who does this activity address? So there's special populations. You may have an activity that just addresses at-risk kids. You might have an activity that just addresses bilingual students, but you may have an activity that addresses all students in your organization. And then you look at the person who is responsible. So, for example, one goal I mentioned was CTE. Well, the person that might be responsible for ensuring that students are meeting the requirements of the internship are going to be your CTE director, and your campus administrator are going to work closely together to monitor that. Then you look at the timeline. Is this something that's done the first semester, or is this done throughout the entire year? And then you look at the evaluation. What form would we use to evaluate this activity and ensure that it is being a success? And then also looking at the summative evaluation. I say all that to say that the improvement plan is ever changing. I mean, you can have something where it's not a concern right now, but as you go throughout the year, it's something that you do want to bring in, add to your plan to address. And there might be things in here that you initially wanted to do that after you maybe started them, you realize that it's not a good fit, and it's not working. So you might delete an activity, but go in and add a different activity. And so the plans are presented as you have a district plan, then you have each individual campus plan. The plans are often created by a group of individuals such as teachers, administrators, might be the career counselor, the parents, community members can come in and look at the plan. The plan is available for parents to review. It will be posted on the website. So if a parent wanted to say, what are you guys doing each year to ensure students are safe? I can access this campus improvement plan. I can look at that specific goal, and then I can go through and read those specific activities. And if the parent wanted to dig even deeper to say, okay, you telling me here that you're doing these things, these specific activities to ensure students are safe, can you explain those further? Or can you give me evidence that those things are taking place? And so just to speak, I'll pull up the one that looks at, let's see, there's a goal here I'm just trying to pull up one so I can speak to it. So again, the plan, that the goal that looks at maintaining highly qualified teachers, and so things that we talk about is providing incentives to attract teachers. So things that, again, our teachers are employees of the university. They get health care insurance. They also get, we have a competitive salary. They get free college tuition. We talk about quality teachers. We see quality as a teacher that's going to also probably, hopefully get a master's degree. And so we provide that opportunity for them to get a master's degree. We provide required state training to the teachers so that they do meet those requirements. We have opportunities for them to be engaged in specific training, such as flipped learning, project-based learning, problem-based learning, that aligns with our charter so that they are successful, so they are then considered a quality teacher within our organization. So again, that's just an example of if a parent wanted to say, what are you doing to support your teachers? And what are you trying to do to retain your teachers? You could go to this plan and specifically talk from the plan. Again, the parent has access to the plan. The administrator can talk from the plan as well, but things can be added in to the plan as the year progresses. Any specific questions that the board has on any of the plans? I know that we have to vote on them each individually. And any comments that any of the directors want to make about their specific plan?
When are these plans done? What's the time frame that these are done in?
So they're usually done at the beginning of the year or over the summer. Sometimes that, it's helpful if you start the conversations, because you have to actually do an evaluation of the plan at semester. And so you see over to the side, there's a semester one evaluation. So it's semester one before the end of semester, or at the end of the semester one, we have to go in and say, okay, did we provide prompt and adequate technology support to students? And did we meet that? Or is that something we plan on meeting? Are we on progress to meet it? And then we have to then come back at the end of the year to document that as well. And that has to all be submitted to the state to show our plan. And so they're updated each year, and usually done prior to this board meeting, that we go in and we look at each one of those activities to say, is this something we're going to continue to do? If not, then we remove it, or it might be something that we've achieved and it's been on the plan for several years, and we just don't feel a need to add it to keep addressing it. I will tell you, there's certain things that, given that we're a Title I campus and district, that are required for us to have in the plan every year. And so those are things that you don't delete. They remain in the plan.
Dr. Simmons, if a parent wanted to look into it further, is this posted somewhere, or would they contact like Ms. Dennis here in Tyler? How would they go about accessing
The website. So it's on the website. After this board meeting, the updated plan will be posted. Any changes that are made to the plan, then that plan is updated, and the updated plan would then be replace the one that was posted. Any questions that you might ever have about the plan, or specifics, or things that you feel like that need to be addressed in the plan, you're always, we open that conversation as well. Any other questions? All right, so we have to vote on each one of these individually. So do I have a motion to accept the district, the University Academy District Improvement Plan?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, in a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay. Make a motion or do I have a motion to approve the Tyler Campus University Academy Improvement Plan?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay. And do we have a motion to accept approval of the University Academy Longview Campus Improvement Plan?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. And a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, and last one, did we have a approval to, or a motion to accept the approval of the University Academy Palestine Campus Improvement
I'll make that
Plan?
motion.
All right, and second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and those opposed, same sign. Okay, so the next area action item is the Student Code of Conduct. And so this is a very important document for a lot of reasons. So the Student Code of Conduct is basically a document that we receive from the Charter School Association. And I'm pulling mine up too. From the charter, it's easier for me to speak to you guys instead of looking that way. From the Charter School Association, and basically it is an updated document that has the laws embedded into the Student Code of Conduct laws. And then what we do is we go into the document and add our title to it, add the date to it, and if there's anything specific that we want to add, we have that authority with, given that it remains within those guidelines to add that information. So one thing that I just saw up there, no, I didn't see it. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I see that too. The university at the very top is misspelled. So we'll get that corrected. Thanks. Okay, so looking at the Student Code of Conduct, you can see that within this document, again, this is a document that we purchased from the Charter School Association that is reviewed by attorneys. So in this document, we have everything from students' code of conduct, what's prohibited, discipline, types of discipline that we have on the campus, everything from discipline to in-district suspension if we offer that, to out-of-school expulsion, things like that. So it's very specific document that is one available to parents. It is one that the administrator will reference when meeting with a parent that has a specific question, oftentimes related to behavior. What behavior is prohibited, what behavior is not. In the event the student does act in this specific behavior, what action does the district take? And so there's everything for him in here about when a student misbehaves or has inappropriate use of technology. What action does the district take? So again, it allows us to have a document that the administrator and the parent can reference, and that it doesn't leave a lot of gray areas when dealing with those situations. It really does take your personal relationships out of the situation, because no one likes for their child to get in a situation where they've misbehaved and now they're being called to the school to address the issue. You don't want the behavior or the consequence or the situation to be left up to an administrator to just try to figure out what to do in this situation. So you have documents that the administrator can reference when meeting with a parent, specifically to say, this is the behavior that the situation that's occurred. These are the procedures that we're going to follow given the situation. These are the types of disciplines and situations that would warrant putting the student in maybe a detention. And that's usually not a case that's going to have to reference this. This really refers to a situation that we're probably looking at any type of expulsion or suspension. And so it does go through the reasons for expulsion. There are some reasons that require expulsion. If a student brings a gun to campus, it's not up to the administrator's discretion or even mine to determine if the student's going to be expelled. The law says the student is expelled. So that law is referenced in this document. everything from, you know, the situation with bullying, as you know, that's kind of a buzzword that now that the law requires certain things to be done in the event a child is bullied. Well, that law is referenced in this document that then shows exactly what is done in that case that a student is bullied. Because we get that. We get a parent that comes up that says, what do you do? What are you doing for my situation where my child's being mistreated or bullied? We're able to pull this document up. We're able to show them the resources we have, the Stop It app, things like that, that allow that prevent it or not prevent it, but are steps to try to prevent it, to be proactive to address it. So any questions? This again addresses truancy, bullying. It really is a document that in the event I encourage you as a board member, if you get a parent that calls that's upset, first of all, please let me know so that I can provide you the resources you need to maybe have the conversation with the parent. But also ask the parent, have you had a chance? You know, I understand, I hear you're upset about whatever. You know, have you looked on the website? Have you pulled up the student code of conduct or the student handbook and what is said in there? Because the truth of it is what is said in these documents needs to be referenced in practice. And so if, you know, if it's something that if the child does feel like there is a situation where they are being bullied, then hopefully we've done our due diligence to support the student in every way, and have the conversation with a parent to say, here's the resources that we have available. Here's some things that we can do as a district, and individualize that to support the improving the situation. Any questions about that? So the code of conduct is something that the board does approve, but the student handbook is not something the board approves, because in the event that there needs to be a change made to the student handbook, the administrators have that authority to do so. But it is always best that some type of email go out to parents in the event you make a change to a handbook. But the student code of conduct is something that in the event a change would be needed, we would have to bring it back to the board. So to have a motion to accept the student code of conduct.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, and I have a second?
Who are you calling first?
Let's go.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, so the next thing that's on the agenda is the absences program. Several years ago, some of you may remember this, we did have a program that we used, and I can't, the program just, let's back the line. So that was the program that we used. And we had someone come and talk with the board about the program, the contents of the program, and it was at that time where they would come in and they would train specific teachers, provide them support of how to present the material. They would provide the material at free of charge to the school district. We spent all last year trying to get in contact with that company, and some things have changed. Now there's a cost associated with it, pretty substantial cost, and then cost in training, cost in travel of the person. So I charged the nurse with going to look at some different options and exploring options that maybe other school districts use, or some things that she would recommend. And so she's here today, Nurse Mackey, and she's got visitors with her as well that she can introduce.
Student nurses, they come in throughout the year and help me with some stuff.
So she's going to speak to this program that she'd like to introduce to us.
I did kind of create a little outline for you guys, and on the back of it is the outline for the content that is provided through this program. So if you want to grab one and pass them around, there should be enough for everybody. The program is called Relationships Under Construction. I think we were approached, our Longview campus was actually approached with it, and it was brought to our attention, and I did some research on it. The program itself was originated in Ohio. There's only one school district here in Texas that has implemented it, and that's in Eunice, Texas. but they've had great results with it. So it is a new program to the state, but they're really trying hard to push it. And what it does is it focuses on building character and healthy relationships in your life and stuff like that. So they do I lost my train of thought. Anyways, they have a program, a standalone program for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then they do offer a high school program that has a sister program with it that talks about relationships and stuff like that, and dating violence. So with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, what they would do is they would come out and it would be a 5-day lesson session that they would do for 45 minutes a day. And it would teach, on the back is the content information for each grade level and what they would go over each day. At the end of the 5 days, the program is done until the next school year. It is a buildable content or buildable program with their content, and what they suggest is continuing the program each year so that the information that they get this year will build upon for next year, and then so on and so forth. And it aims towards teaching them to create boundaries and to develop healthy relationships and what to look for and how to abstain from any kind of risky behavior until marriage or anything like that. It does touch on drug and alcohol consumption and use and everything, so I think it kind of encompasses. I think what the big selling point for us was, though, is that the teachers don't teach it. They send somebody out to teach it, and I know that was an awkward situation for our teachers to do the programming and see the kids over and over again afterwards, because it is a little bit of an awkward topic to talk about with your kids. So I know that was a huge selling point for the teachers because they don't want to have to do that. So they do send somebody out. They will travel to every campus that we need, and we can kind of modify it. So if we don't have 5 days for the grade level or anything, they can kind of modify it and tweak it to where it'll fit our schedule and what we're needing. It does meet the Texas requirements for the state. I think it's the A through H Title V requirements that they have. That it does meet that. It does satisfy it because we are an abstinence-only program for the state of Texas. So we can't teach sexual education. So this program follows the abstinence-only program.
And is there a law that requires a district to have a program?
There is.
Program?
That it is to the Title V Senate bill. I had it written down. I don't think I have it with me, but yes, there is a law that governs that and dictates what it is, and I can find that and get it.
No, I just wanted that to be on record to say that there is a law, that this is not just something that we want to add to the curriculum. The state says that there has to be a curriculum in place to support abstinence.
Yes.
The other thing that I wanted to ask, as a parent, can I preview the curriculum?
Yes, you can. I have currently I have content outlined for every grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th. I don't have any program content for the high school program yet, but I can absolutely get it. They're very open with it. They want parents involved. There is a parent letter that is sent home to let you know what's going on and how to access any of this information and any other questions that parents may have regarding the program.
And I can also opt out as a parent, correct?
Yes, you can.
So if I choose that I don't want my child to be engaged in this learning during these 5 days, then the letter that goes out prior to the presenters coming to present the information goes to the parent. An email will go out to the parent saying we're getting ready to have a guest speaker. The guest speaker will cover these topics. You have a window to review the curriculum, so the parent can say, my child's going into 6th grade. I can come up and look at all the 6th grade lessons, the material. I know that it's being taught by a trained person to teach the material. So again, that's a big selling point for me, because the truth of it is a lot of the teachers, they don't want a quick overview and have to be thrown into a classroom to teach this material, and they accidentally say one thing wrong that offends a child or a parent. And that can happen in this situation, knowing that, and then they're, in a situation where they've upset a parent. So, what's important about this program, or about any program, is that it's not something that is the parent has the option to opt out. they have the option to review all the material that's going to be presented. In the event they opt out, we will place the child in another setting, an instructional setting during that time. Then they would then rejoin their peers. It's not something that if they choose to opt out, they're not going to make it, the director is not going to make a big deal out of it to call that child out in front of all their peers that you're not going to present because your parent has opted you out. It's something that we would do very professionally. That child will be pulled out while the other students are engaged in this learning. I will tell you that several parents have asked me over the course of the last several years of what we're doing to support, students. That as students mature and we begin to get older students, especially in the high school age, what are we doing to have these conversations and to talk to them about that? Now, that's not every parent. I also have the parent that says that's not your job. That's my job as a parent, and I'm going to have that conversation with my child. I don't need you to do so, and that's fine. I think it's a balance. We have it, and we can offer it to your child in the event you want your child to participate in the program. It's a program that meets the state laws. Or you don't have to have your child participate and you can opt out.
That's good.
It is free of charge too. We don't have to provide anything other than a location and PowerPoint access for them. So they provide all the other materials for it as well. So we don't have to run into that problem of teachers being untrained for it or running into costs for training for teachers, because it's not something that's part of this program since they come out and teach it.
And I will say that this is not something that has to be approved at this meeting. If we would like to give the board an opportunity to go and look further into this program and to review any of the lessons, we can make that available to the board prior to taking a vote. I mean, we can definitely, we have time. It's on the agenda for us to have a vote, but we do not have to call a vote on it. I want you to feel comfortable with the information, the material, as well.
I reviewed the samples. I think it's a great idea. Personally, I like it.
I'm a little concerned about like high school and like, does it, we don't have high school here and it's 6th, 7th, and 8th that you're implementing. I guess this year, isn't that what's here?
They do offer a high school program. I just did not provide the information for
Right.
it since the focus was kind of through the 6th, 7th,
Right.
and 8th
So
grade.
I guess I can look it up on my own.
So I guess the question is, are we going to offer it in high school, or are we just going to focus on these grades?
That has not been approached to me on yet, so I would be more than willing to talk with our districts, our directors, and see what they're wanting for that. Because as we do have our high schoolers come in, it is information that I think would be beneficial for them later on in life. So that's something that we have to discuss with our directors to see if that's what we're interested in. Because the program, even the high school program and the secondary program with it, is free of charge as well.
What is the board think? I mean, I think if
Does it need to be voted on as a whole, or since we don't have the high school portion, can the 6th, 7th, and 8th be voted through
Sure.
today and then
sure,
a high school with the rest of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just my suggestion.
I like that.
To have
And I
that
can
on
absolutely
board.
get all the information for the high school program together for you guys as well.
All right. Well, let's just I'll take a motion, or do I have a motion to approve the relationships under construction absences program for grade 6, grade 7th, and grade 8th for the University Academy?
I'll make that motion.
I think you have to actually say I make a motion to only approve.
I'll make a motion to approve only 6th, 7th, and 8th program.
Okay, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same side. All right, thank you, guys. And so if you would please
Yeah,
kind of look at
absolutely.
the
Yeah,
high
that was the
school.
focus was
Yeah,
6th, 7th, and
yeah,
8th, so that's what we wanted.
absolutely.
So absolutely, I'll get that for you guys.
I do have another question. When do we plan on the timeline?
I think it can start as soon as we say yes. There is a letter. There is no contract with it. So if we decide we don't like it this year, we don't have to sign up for it again next year. But we will have to sign a letter of commitment. I think as soon as we sign that, it's good to go. And we can set up dates and times and everything.
Okay. And directors, do you have kind of a timeline in mind when you wanting to present this information just so that the board and I know that, you know, a parent's letter is going to be going out at this time and this is when the 5 lessons are going to be taking place on the campus? Are we looking at the fall or the spring? Okay, spring. Okay, so it's going to be sometime in the spring. That's helpful. Any other questions?
Yeah, is it like a year to year kind of thing? So like next year, would it sort of appear on our, you know, the great big long list of approve? Would this be one of the things to re-enter into an agreement, or once you agree, it's assumed that it stays unless something comes up?
Correct.
Okay.
You're right. We will stick to this program unless we either find out that there no longer exists, like we did or there's a cost now associated with it. So if anything changes in the program, then we would bring that back to the board. So for example, if we get a notice next year that they're adding 3 additional lessons to the programs in a different grade, or maybe they're bumping it up to now they're going to offer it for 5th graders, that would need to be brought back to the board to discuss.
I think timing is important, as long as parents are made aware that this is the dates that we're looking to do
Yes.
this. And you've been given plenty of time to review, to check. Having the option to say no is a good thing.
I agree.
So I think timing, when we notify parents, we don't want to notify them a couple of days in advance.
Mhm.
Hey, in 2 days, your child's gonna be exposed to this, and a parent not have that opportunity to review.
If
So I
I'm
think
not mistaken, the law actually states that parents do have to be notified, have the option to opt out, and it does have to be within a certain time frame. So I think
okay,
it's very
there
specific.
is a specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I remember
I-
correctly, the wording of the law is very specific in that you do have to send out a notice that the
I think it's like
instruction
2
is going to
weeks. Or,
happen.
yeah.
And I believe they have to sign yes
Or
or
no.
no. I
Yes.
don't think it's just send it if you don't want them. I think they have to actually even approve.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
If
good.
I'm- yeah.
That's good.
And I think that we need to do even go above and beyond to say maybe even send out even the parent letter, but also send out a remind 101 to say, parents, today you're receiving this letter. If you
Right.
have any questions, please contact me, so that we can say that we're doing everything we can and make sure that we do have the material available. Is there even if you go onto the website, is there lessons that they can review?
Yes, there is a parent portal on there that they can go through and look at the content. I think it's very similar to what I sent already.
Okay.
It's not exactly the same because this was actually sent from the book that they come from. So, but yes, there is
Okay.
on the website that people.
Does the letter state that about the parent portal?
The letter that you send to parents,
Yeah.
you would just have
Yeah.
to draft.
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I don't think it says exactly.
Oh, they don't have a
They
letter.
have a letter.
Okay,
they
that's
have
what I
a
thought you
letter
said.
Pre-written and stuff like that, but I do think it gives you the option to log on to the website.
Good,
and say,
good. Yeah. Again, we want to be as open as we
That's right.
can to say that
Right,
here's a
yeah.
parent portal to go to. We also can view the material on campus if you don't have access to the internet.
We can put it on our website too, under like on our special programs where we have like the health, or I think we actually have a health page. We can
Yes.
put it.
Oh,
on
yeah,
there as
good.
well.
I had a question. There's a teacher's note that says, if at all possible, separate girls and boys for certain lessons. So if there are trainers coming in,
So if they come in, because I've talked to them about this as well, because they were under the, we can set it up to where they have allotted times for this. So if we had to separate them for this particular lesson, then the boys would come in for their lesson, and then later on in the day, the girls would come in for their lesson. And this teacher is one of the people from the program is who that's talking to, and they'll stay for the day and do as they need to and everything like that. You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, the next information is informational items. So the first item is our career technical education program. As the board is aware, we do have thank you guys. We do have our CTE coordinator, basically director / teacher, because she also teaches the course. I've asked her to come and talk to the board about the initiatives. You may have heard that we have internships this year that we're offering for students, and so and also talk about the coursework and kind of the role that she's playing in the district right now, and those relationships she's building with businesses.
Hi, my name is Katie Adams, and I am filling in this role. Just take my pass around. I just kind of did a breakdown of the CTE program. for the career prep extended internship extended, and then we also have the project-based research. So I kind of just went through and broke down the numbers based on each campus of how many students are participating in each area. There are differences, and I'll get to those in just a little bit, but we have partnered with over 45 businesses in the Longview, Tyler, and Palestine area. And we do have some students that are staying on campus to, they're staying on campus to either be a teacher's aide or working in the after-school program and assisting with that. As you can see, we have, I just listed a few of the businesses below. The engineering department over at the main campus has taken on a lot of students, and it's going to be a great opportunity for our students. Discovery Science Place. We do have some places like Chick-fil-A, Brookshire, Super One, KSA Engineering Firm here in Tyler has taken on a student, UT Health. And so there's kind of a wide range of businesses, and that just is based upon which pathway the student is in, whether they're in career prep or an internship. If they are in an internship, it does have to relate back to their endorsement. And so we're making sure that it relates back to the STEM endorsement that they have. If it is a career prep program, it does not have to relate to their endorsement. So that's kind of why you see a wide variety of businesses listed. And then down below, I just kind of listed out a little bit about the requirements for each pathway. That it could be, like I said, career prep is not based off of their endorsement, but the internship is. The internship, it could either be a paid or an unpaid position. And then we also have a project-based research pathway, which the students can participate in, and that is done in class. They do not leave early like the other students do that are in career prep or internship. And so that's a little bit of a difference. But then at the very bottom, I broke it down into how you determine whether or not a student is in career prep or the career prep extended, and the same with internship or internship extended. And then I also listed out how many credits they'll be receiving for that class. So this is just a real quick breakdown of the CTE program that we're starting with our internships and career prep.
What grades did you say?
11th and 12th grade. Yes. Any other questions?
What would cause a student to not qualify?
So the students do need to be on track to graduate in order to participate in the career prep or the internship for them to leave early.
So we're very pleased with our initial response with our internships, and especially with you looking at the actual internships, knowing those are tied back to their endorsement. That's a positive number to start with. I mean, year one. I just want to thank Katie, has done an amazing job stepping into this role, having to work to connect with businesses in a very short term, place the students. The students had to be placed within 15 days of the start of the school year. And so we were on a very tight timeline to place the students, document their placement. That placement requires her going to meet with the business and the student to ensure that there is basically a memo of understanding of the expectations. In her position, she also will have to make, how many visits do you have to make a 6 weeks or a semester?
Every 6 weeks, I have to visit each student.
Okay, at their jobs. Yeah, so she has to actually go to their job site, see them there. There is a lot of documentation involved in not only the student's requirement, but her requirement as well, because we do receive CTE funding. So when there's money involved, they want the documentation to show you're actually, you've visited the child's work site, you've met with the child supervisor, you're documenting the child is in attendance. And the coursework really is aligned with trying to prepare the student to be a good employee. You know, think about their resume, think about professional attire, thinking about professional behavior, how to resolve a conflict in the workplace, because life's not perfect. You may get in the workplace that you don't agree with someone, or you may not like somebody. How do you manage yourself in a professional way and keep your job? In the event a student loses their job, their placement in the program could change. And so they have to notify her within so many hours of in the event they lose their job. And then she has to document that. And then she has so many days to place them into another position. So our goal is to build the number of partnerships we have. So you as board members, if you think of opportunities for our students, again, some of these positions are unpaid. So if you have an opportunity for your student or for a student that might be at your place of work, or someone that you know in the community, a business partner that might want to take on some students, I think it's a great opportunity, and they're getting some great kids. So any other questions about the program? Again, this is our first year, and I mean, it's very positive to see these numbers.
That's great. So I guess my first thought was in contacting the businesses, it can go both ways. If there's a business that I know of, they can contact Katie and make the agreements there, and we go from there. Okay.
Yes, if they are. And, you know, again, I think it's an opportunity for, you know, most of the students do want to get paid, but there are several that are in unpaid internships. Their parents are like, you know, I just want them out there doing something, getting involved, building those skills. I don't really care if they are paid or not. And so, you know, we get a kind of a mixture of both. Especially, I think what we have seen that if it is more of a position of they're working with an engineer, that's an opportunity for them to really put on their resume. And so that opportunity, they don't really necessarily care if they're going to get paid, because I can go back and put that on my resume or my college application that during my junior and senior year, I worked for the engineering department at the university as an intern. That speaks volumes. And some of our students already had jobs. So, you know, it was one of those things where we just had to make the connection to enroll them in the program. The student has to have transportation, so that is a requirement, just so you're aware of that, in order for them to participate, and they do get out at noon. So it's a big load. They take classes during the day, and then they have to do their internship and meet so many hours, and then also if they're taking dual credit classes, they have those responsibilities as well. They're growing up.
Not based on hours per se. For example, you said they get out at noon. What if it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday? They would go ahead and get out at noon all throughout the week. It's just
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So when they are in an internship program, they get out at noon at Monday through Friday.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah. It tells us 5 to 10 hours a week. All right. So it would be multiple days a week. Are they all like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursdays? Or?
It just really depends on their work. Some
Okay.
go every day, and some just go,
Okay.
some go on Saturdays.
Okay.
But
But nobody goes just once a week, right? Or do they? Like if it's just,
Not usually, but
okay, a
if
minimum
they're-
of 5 hours.
correct. But
Okay.
if their employer is open on a Saturday
Okay.
and they could get their 5 hours on a Saturday,
Got
they
it.
are welcome to do
Sure.
that.
And we have students that, for example, interns that are interested in maybe being a daycare supervisor or having a teacher. So some of them are actually coming back and working in our after school program, or they're spending their afternoon. I think of one student that spends their afternoon in the classroom, the kindergarten classroom. So she's an intern in that kindergarten classroom in the afternoons here on our campus. So she stays on the campus, but she's doing her internship here. So it's a great opportunity for, you know, my goal is to place more of these students at the university. I mean, because these are great kids that necessarily don't have to want to be paid, but have an opportunity to get out there and be exposed to the workforce, you know, the real world. So any other questions? All right, so the next item is STAR data and accountability ratings. And so I know that we've talked about some preliminary data, and I wanted to be able to show the board, and Brian Weaver's going to speak to the board and to show them a resource that is available for parents is really specifically what we want to talk to you all about. All right, Mr. Weaver.
So on your computers, if you'll go to txschools.org, TX, the letter TX, and then schools.org, and I think Christian will do that on the up there also. I really like how the commissioner and just the days we're in, things are becoming more and more transparent. He's got this data out there to parents. It looks like that. If you get to it, you'll see something like that. And allows parents to look at their own school and any district and dig as deep as they want to in there. So you also may be getting some questions, from parents and things that look at this. So it might be good to familiarize yourself with it. All right, right there. Yeah, go ahead and do it on that top one, on that very top one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So on that top one, you could put UT Tyler. And you'll see some choices now. And pick the district level instead of a campus level at this time. And I'll leave it right there for a second. Thank you. I appreciate what you're doing there. So you see what she's done there. She typed in UT space Tyler. Can anybody having a connection problem here?
I'm just trying to get onto my hotspot. I don't have
I see.
access to that.
We can get you access to the.
Do you see the UTTIA teacher?
The one teacher.
Yeah.
She went to it.
And then it's, I can't even.
Who remembers it?
It's UT teacher,
U
IA,
capital
IA.
U, capital or IA,
capital I, capital A.
Can you write it on the?
Capital T,
and then each are
teacher.
lowercase.
Can you write it?
Sure. No S, right?
We're gonna write it here for you
Good.
to reference.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I've been logged in for so many years, I don't even know. Did it work?
I think it's working. Yes,
There we go. After we just go in a controlled way into a couple places, of course, it's just, again, this is a public thing. This is, I just wanted to lead you through a couple of menus and then obviously you'll be free to go through there. So let's go ahead, Ms. Christian, and enter that district level, not one of the campuses, but the district level one for now. So this is what the public sees. In yourself, and this is almost as detailed as you get into it as we get inside. So it says we made a B, and it furthermore says we made an 89. Scroll down that page just a little bit. Now it tells us where that came from. Actually, there's a subset of grades where we made a B, a D, and a B. And in each case, it has opportunities to move and look for additional details about that category. It also has, go down a little bit further. Oh yeah, we don't have distinctions at the district level. It often has a little thing called Tell Me More. Go ahead and open that one for a second, if you don't mind. Yeah, it tells you that the districts don't get, well, you can this year. We didn't get this district distinctions. And every time it has these little pop-up menus to explain things kind of in common language. Go ahead and close that. On that page, does anything jump out at anybody that they would want to look at in the district level? Oh, look at that D, huh? All right. Well,
So go to additional
go to D,
details.
additional details. And in here, it tells you over to the side how this is calculated. It has some more tell me mores that would allow you to look into these kinds of things. That's a good one. And look at that little second menu. There's a second arrow right there. That's right. Yeah, it's easy to work.
It is very detailed.
And you can start general, and then it can get very, very detailed.
Uh-huh.
So which is nice. You can look at the surface, or you can dig down, as they say. This basically says you have 2 grades here, and you get to choose the highest one. They measure you on the growth of your students, and they measure you how you do compared to other schools like you. And when they say like you, they mean the same ECD population. I've talked with y'all a lot about that. The same economically disadvantaged population. In other words, they wouldn't compare us to TISD because TISD is 70% economically disadvantaged. We're only 18. So they would compare us to other schools that are 18% economically disadvantaged. And that's another grade. Go ahead and close that. Move down, and you'll see what, yeah, a little further so we can see both of them. You see our 2 grades were a 65 and a 69. The 65 is a reflection of our growth as a district. Not something we're proud of at the moment. We were at an 82 last year.
Under a different accountability.
Yeah, well, based on this, what the state has done is they've taken last year's data and run it through all the same formulas that are now applicable for this year, and said, how would you have done last year if we also got grades last year? So it is an apples to apples comparison that last year we had an 82 in this same area. I mean, they didn't publish those, but now they have. Now they have gone back and given a backwards looking look at your last data, so you can look for trends already. And I want to talk more about the 69 in a minute, but that's the score we got to use was the 69.
So scroll down to 69. And then you can go dig into the
Yeah,
data.
go ahead and let's just go into the dig into the data for a second. So this is a pretty interesting one, and I have a handout for you in a minute. Just a one pager. This one is a good one to dwell on, I think. Let me try to say what it means. If you stack every school in the state up from those that have 0% economically disadvantaged, there are some schools out there that are basically 100%. I was noticing in John Tyler right here, you know, is 97% economically disadvantaged. Like that Dogan Middle School. So they're over here. We're right here. And then you go up and say, how did you do on the test, on the STAR performance? And in this case, this is an average of, I think I talked to you about this 90-60-30 thing. You have 90% fair to pass and 60%, and then 30% mastery. You average those, you get a score. So ours was like a 50. Well, this is was a 59. Yeah. We're right here. Here's the thing. This green area is an A. The blue here is a B. The gray is a C. The yellow is a D. And the orange is an F.
And this is this is the performance of your ECD students.
So this is all students, no?
Okay.
Yeah, we really want to get a handle on this. They grade all your students what they call domain 1. And that dot right there gave us an 89 compared to the state in general. But guess what? All of these schools, everything above a 60 is an A. If you draw it this way, you compare it to the state, everybody above a 60 gets an A compared to the state. You see that's a kind of a disadvantage to these kinds of schools down here? It's almost impossible. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but when you have this #1 burden in education right now, the #1 challenge, I should say, is meeting the needs of ECD students. Meeting the needs of students that come to you without as many resources. They're on free and reduced lunch. That's how you're ECD. You're free and reduced meals. Your income is low enough to qualify you for that. These schools seldom make it into this area when you just play against the state. So the new rules were this year, you have a choice between 2 grades. If you can score, if this school right here can score right here, which is below the 60, which might be a C or a D in the state, they have an A compared to schools like them. Now, it's not just ECD, it's all your kids, but they can make an F and an A. An F compared to states, they'll have been beat up with all these years. The commissioner's kind of novel idea was, wait, let's look at a sliver that says how you do compared to schools that have the same challenges you have. So we just look at them. So these are the schools that we deal with right here. We compete with these districts. I mean, we're looking at it as a district, and we'll see a little bit more about this in just a second. So when we say we make an 89, that's great, and that's probably all we tell everybody. But if you look at the challenges of every other school that only has 18% ECD, that's an A, that's a B, that's a C, we're at a 69 D compared to other schools like us. When I say like us, they have the same population. It's a little bit sobering. It's a challenge. It's an area to look at. Let's stop right there and look at this handout. What I did was, because if you go through all these screens, it can get a little confusing. I took two particular shots that I want to highlight and just hand them to you. They're from this side, but I just want you to look at them.
And this is a district look here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm assuming that we could go on
Yes,
to
every
individual
campus.
Individual
and-
campus.
and see.
Yes, I'll try to look at that just a second. Did you get one? If you look at this, Chairman, is everyone being? If you look at this first page, I'm calling the first page the one with the long list. If you don't mind, the one with the long list like this. There's another page, we could push some buttons. I didn't want to have to push too many buttons. You'll be able to do that. It's hard to get in the big group. This is one of the pages you could pull up. Look at it for a second. And it lists us, and this is what I did was I went in and said, I want to see everybody in Smith County, you see up at the top, Anderson County, and Gray County, because that's where our 3 schools reside. And here you are at one look. How do we stack up with our #1 grade, our overall grade of an 89 with everyone else? I put a block around us. Now notice we're listed that low only because of alphabetical order. Really, we're tied for 3rd place. Y'all see that? All those people with 89s, we're really tied with all of them. We're a little low on their list because we're in alphabetical order. But if we were at track meet, we tie for 3rd. I added some information here because of my interest in this and because I think of our interest. You see the handwritten numbers? That's the ECD populations of each of those campuses. You see something that kind of stands out there? Now, this is an inside group. This is a group that takes on the biggest challenges. And to me, the biggest challenge is, I mean, it's easy to throw in the paper, you're doing better than everybody else. In a way, you have an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with the problems, as it were, the challenges that other people have. I'm just gonna say that over and over. But then you look at a place like Lindale, who has 48% economically disadvantaged, and they're getting the job done in every single possible area. I want you to consider that for a moment, and our principals also haven't had a chance to talk about this. Would you back up a frame and figure out how to just look at Lindale ISD letter, or you can do that too, that's fine. Yeah. I just want you to see something, because to me, it should be in our minds of, it's a good way to approach it. You can do it right there.
And while you're doing that, I want to say also, the reason a student parent turns in an ECD notification is that they're wanting to get free and reduced lunch, correct?
Okay.
Isn't that their advantage?
Sure.
To get free, I mean, I'm going to fill out this form so I can get a free and reduced lunch that the school's offering.
That's how we're determining.
That's how they, that's how ECD is determined.
Gotcha.
Well,
Okay.
there's another little small piece,
But so as a building principal in a traditional ISD, I would pass out the forms for students to qualify for free and reduced lunch. And I would track those, knowing that if they had it last year, I'd want to go back and find out why they didn't turn it in or not turn it in. I could really, really track and double check to make sure I was really trying to identify all of my population. We don't offer lunch. Not saying that that makes a difference, but I do think it does make a difference in the benefit of the parent submitting the form. Not that that's not still, I'm not trying to in any way say that this is not an area we need to address. I'm just trying to say, I don't think that number is a true representation of our
The
district.
18 would be higher if we offered a lunch.
100% high.
But I will say from like our enrollment days and things, first of all, everybody does get the application
Yeah.
that's required. So it's not that we only hand it out to certain people. Everybody gets the application and has the opportunity to fill it out. We try to attempt to basically let them know that there are other advantages other than the free meals that come with that. Because if you qualify for those things, it does open up other doors and other services. And Title I, like in Palestine, for example, now they have the partnership with YMCA, so that opens up that door. And so we do let them know that it's not just revolving around lunch. There are other services that come with ECD status. So if they qualify, they are kind of encouraged to let them know that if they do feel that they would qualify, that it is in their best interest to fill it out.
But this is the first year in Palestine that we've really had that to talk to say that if a parent came out and said, well, why am I not getting a discount?
But there are other, even from like a federal level.
For getting grants, for getting
Oh, absolutely. There are advantages, but to the parent personally,
Yeah,
you know,
It's
yeah.
just a breakfast issue.
Yeah.
But even in the community, there are, and federally, there are things that they qualify for, and it will ask, do you qualify for free and reduced lunch? Show us that you are free and reduced lunch.
Okay.
So there are other services, just.
And let me add
outside of
this,
the
I've been, many of us have been at all three levels. When you're in elementary, all the kids turn those in naturally. Parents are gonna take advantage of their breakfast and lunches. When you get into a high school setting, you have to go out of your way to get kids to turn that stuff up. John Tyler wouldn't be at 97% economically disadvantaged if they didn't get those kids to turn them in. And they turn them in so they can get funding for grants and get other money. So it's upon the district to get accurate information. But
And you can, as an administrator, approach a parent to say, I mean, you qualify for ECD based on your income. What document do we have to reference to say this percent of parents would qualify as ECD? So there's nothing that I can charge the administrators to do to say you need to cross-reference your ECD population, because they don't have anything to reference. I will tell you, when I was a traditional ISD principal, I went to the previous records, and there would be every year when we started serving lunches. I think it's like so many days from the start day of school that that they roll over. But after so many days, it no longer rolls over. So if I was an ECD student last year, I can start the school year as an ECD student and still get that free lunch and that free breakfast, or that reduced lunch and reduced breakfast. But after so many days into the school year, I had to have an updated form on file. Guess when I started getting all of my forms? It was when the student went through the line, and the line said, you owe $1.75. I immediately then started getting the forms in, and I could cross-reference. So,
and you are required to send out, there are numerous requirements of letters and notifications that have to go out to parents. So like those kids who roll over, they get a letter in the mail that says you will expire on such and such date.
Well, we never get the rollover. I brought this up to Dean Sherman when we were looking at this percent, and I said, think back to when you were a building principal. Why did your parents turn in those forms? They turned in the forms so that they could have access oftentimes to that free and reduced meal.
in that case, we just need to educate our public that we need it for other data purposes.
Yes.
We just need it for identification purposes. Although we've also discussed, we're not surprised that our ECD population is low, and there's another dimension of ECD population. When you further look into this, there are those that are predominantly free. I mean, they could be 90% economically disadvantaged, but 80% of those are free, and the rest are reduced. There's a difference in income and resources and other things that come with that. And it can be flipped. In our case, the fact that we have a charter school that you have to provide transportation to and you don't have free buses means by definition, you're going to have less economically disadvantaged students.
Correct.
The fact, and if they are an economically disadvantaged student, you have a different quality of an ECD kid, if you don't mind me saying that way. Because if they have someone to provide them for transportation every day to come to your school, they're at a higher level of ECD. Just in this, because what's important isn't whether you have money or not. What's important was the associated resources
Right.
that you typically don't have the parent that could take you to after school stuff or to anything. And so these, just by that, being a charter school where people have to drive you there, gives you a higher quality. Not having the meals can give you a higher quality, because you'd be derelict if you're going to send your kid to a school that's not going to feed them when you need them to be fed because you can't feed them.
Right.
So you get a higher quality of student. Anyway, I'm to the point of whether or not, but look at Lindale. I know this is a kind of a downer way to look at something, but here's 48% economically disadvantaged, however they get that paperwork and serve those kids. They're 50% economically disadvantaged in Lindale. And look at, when they look at it, they have a 95, and let's look down. Where people have stuff to hide, like we had an 89, right? But then down below, there was a D. How does that happen? It's like a teacher dropping the lowest grade. That's how that happens. That's how the state does it. They got nothing to hide. And sometimes there's something to hide behind this button, because that comes from 2 scores. So push that button. And scroll down and see if they have anything to hide. See, because they got to pick the highest of those 2 grades. Maybe they were hiding one. They got an A in everything, everywhere, being 50% disadvantage. If somebody's looking for a model school, they should be starting to look for, you're getting stuff done, how you do it. You're 50% economically disadvantaged, and you're doing it across the board in every measure possible. In fact, go back to the first page. The overview, I'm sorry. Or maybe it is overview. Go to the bottom, sorry. You were doing it right. I forgot the district doesn't have distinctions. Okay.
Well, I think the point is what can we do differently to support our students?
And one reason I bring up Lindale in this way, they're at the top of this list in our neighborhood. Sometimes when people are setting goals, they're like, well, has anybody been there? Like you were the first person saying, can I run a 4-minute mile? Nobody kind of downs you because you did it. Forever, nobody thought you could do it. Y'all know that old story, right? But when somebody finally broke the 4-minute mile and it became a tangible goal, people break it all the time. Now we got high schoolers running the 4-minute mile. So, but forever, for decades, it was impossible. It was thought to be impossible. You'll know the story. But once the goal was met, everybody could meet it, because it was a psychological component. It just wasn't like pole vaulting. It wasn't because of better equipment. It was because of a psychological goal. A goal like this that is so tangible, right down your road, means I like to put competition on myself. Oh my gosh, if they can do it, whatever we're going to do, we need to do it. I want to be at the top of this list. There's no reason not to be Linda. What is that acceptable?
No, absolutely. I don't think it's about competition as much as it's about
I want to get it done.
Quality, and trying to support the students.
I don't want to think I'm operating at my highest when other people are clearly operating better. I'll switch gears. Will you turn it to this side? And I'll close. Yeah. You saw the one graph like this that we had up here? This just gives you a little bit of perspective. If you look at the top one, I put 4 districts up there if you'll kind of pay attention to it. UA, sorry. You see how high up we are, but what was our score relative to other schools? We've discussed this. You see it's a 69, right? And you see it's in that band. And then, but look over there at LISD, that's Longview ISD, Palestine ISD, and TISD. I picked one from each region. They're all at 70 and 73% economically disadvantaged. They're lower than us, from top to bottom. So we got a higher overall score, but they scored 80, 80, and 81 relative to schools with their same challenge. That's my theory. And then I put Lindale on there just to show you what that looks like to be at 48% economically disadvantaged, and yet be scoring an A relative to every school that's like you.
So again, it goes back to one, your number of ECD students determines where you're at on this scale.
That's right.
And so if we have a very low number of ECD students, and it's not a true representation of our demographics, then we're going to always be on this side. Not that that's an excuse for anything. It just makes us in a higher level area that requires, the same score could have been a over here if we would have been in that fell in there.
That's
but
exactly right.
I mean, I think that what this says is, I mean, I think it's great that parents have the access to this. And we're sending it out to parents. In fact, I'm speaking tonight in Longview. I'm going to show them this data. I'm going to show them the website. I think it's now our charge to say, okay, what are we doing to support our ECD students, all students? It's not just the ECD population. It's really, what are we doing to ensure that all students are making progress? And how are we monitoring that? And those are things that, you know, I think are good conversations.
Would y'all look at the one just at the low, just because I know we just did it at district level, so I did want to put the campuses down there. And I want you to see a sense of relativity, because you often don't get to see kind of that. And a couple of things come out to me. Notice that Longview scored the highest in our, if we were just looking at raw numbers, Longview was the highest, then Palestine, then our Tyler campus. But because they're in different bands, as we're getting used to that idea, Palestine scored a 78 compared to schools like them, because they're at 28, 29% economically disadvantaged for last year. I think they were registered 29 last year for this record. Both, notice, and one more thing, Longview and Tyler are both at about 14%. And notice how small the difference is. Where Longview score right up there above a 60 gave them a 70 in that group. And Tyler's score was just barely behind them at like a 59, I think it was. And it gave them, it put them in the D category. Do you understand what I'm saying? How quickly that separates out within the band that you're in. And this is something we'll look at internally for what it's worth. But I try to think of what in my role I can bring to you that would be of perspective. And so that was this, and there was this, and it fits kind of the theme that I've been trying to work on. And then the resource. And the resource has so much information there. You start poking around there, you can see a list of every school. You can do it just elementary schools. You can do it, look at all of TIST and see where all they fall. And it's just all in there at parents' fingertips now. Hmm. So I think that's what I had to offer.
Yeah, no, that's good information.
Okay.
Any additional questions?
Can we celebrate the distinction?
Yeah. Sorry. What are we doing?
She wants to celebrate her distinctions
Talk
first
to us
time.
about that for a second. Because
So Tyler, we have never received a distinction, so we were very excited. We received a distinction in English and also in social studies. So we're very excited about that.
yes.
In Palestine?
We received 3 distinctions: English, social studies, and science, which I'm very proud about, but I'm very disappointed we didn't get math.
Okay.
Yes, there's as you start looking at the campus level on those same pages, there's a list where distinctions
And
are.
explain how you get a distinction and everything. Any other questions? Okay, I know there's several other things on the agenda, so I'm going to try to go through them pretty quickly. The student handbook, we've already somewhat explained. It will be available on the website. The student handbook talks about everything from dress code to dual credit opportunities that the district allows, how the student can qualify for dual credit, CTE program. Everything is addressed in there about if I want to be in the CTE internship program, who do I contact? What are some of the kind of overview of the program. That's the document that you don't approve, but is available to parents. You know it is available. It will be available on the website. In the event you have a specific question that a parent asks you, or you have a question, I encourage you to go to that handbook, and there's a lot of information in there. Everything from attendance to pretty much everything. I mean, it's something that we try to put everything in there. So in the event a parent does question something, we can reference we have a better position if we can reference a document, hands down. The faculty and staff handbook, that also is just a informational item to let you know we do have a faculty and staff handbook. It is reviewed with the faculty and staff by Jama. Spends a lot of time going over everything from how do they put in an absence, what is the requirement of them taking attendance, because we know attendance is tied to the budget. And so there is very specific information in there about the requirement of the attendance time and their requirement in the event they're not on campus, what they have to do in the event they count a student absent, the student wasn't absent. Very detailed. That information is there, everything from their insurance benefits to the requirements of the campus expectations. That also is available. Is that online? It's on the that's what I thought. Yeah. So it's available to the staff. So the next items, any questions about the faculty? And again, if you want to see a copy of the faculty handbook, in fact, I think that we provided it to you. So you do have a copy of it. The superintendent's report. So financial updates.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I sent an email out earlier saying there was a mistake on the one that I originally sent, and I wanted to point out that the amendment that we approved the last meeting was to increase this revenue, which we shouldn't have increased that revenue because the rollover amount is wrapped up in that number. And so we should have increased the expenses, which we did, but I wanted to point out to make this rollover 114, I needed to adjust that number back to what it originally was so that we could show that this rollover is 114. Now, I also want to say that these numbers are as of August 31, but we are also in our 13th month. So we will have more expenses on the next report to show you that, because they have to roll all those expenses that happened on August 31 or after pro cards and drop cards and all that stuff, roll it back into the fiscal year. So you will see another report that says as of August 31 with expenses increased and possibly a little bit more revenue, but there shouldn't be that big of a change. And as of right now, we will have a little bit more rollover than what we're expecting because we did save some money in some areas.
Good. That's always good.
Any questions? Okay.
District written enrollment and attendance. So just to provide you this, I like to provide the board this every board meeting so you can just monitor and see. So as you know, our budget is built off of 750, and yay, we have 752 students. So Tyler has 321, Longview has 262, Palestine 169. Totaling the 752. And I think this is the first year, if I remember, building the budget that we actually met the attendance that aligns with our budget. Every year, I think it's been like we built the budget off of, 400 students and we only had 375 show up. So I was very excited to see that we did. We built the budget off 750 and we currently have a couple students over 750. So you can see that the attendance rate for each of the campuses and the budget attendance rate is on 96. So that's what I thought. So as you can see that even that allows us for additional revenue when the campuses is having then we built in the budget when the campus is at a 98 and a 98. So attendance is great. We've got, strong enrollment and turnout, which we're very excited for. We also received our facilities allotment yesterday, and it looks like it's going to be about $151,000. But again, that is all dependent each pay period on your enrollment. And that could fluctuate. So if you lose a group of students, then that's going to impact the budget as well with your facilities allotment. We have, and as you know, we have two big payments in facilities this year. We have our payment of the 250, and then also we're paying off the Longview campus this year for facilities. So those two payments will be made this year. Correct. Am I correct? Right?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, you're correct.
I want to make sure because I know that changed so many times that I've said that correctly. So anyway, the directors did a great job of monitoring enrollment and working with the admins to really make sure that the students that said they were coming, they showed up. And those that didn't show up, we made contact and then we went to our wait list. I think our strongest wait list right now is in Longview. So they have pretty much a wait list in every grade except for the high school, which we've talked about that. It's very hard for a student to come from a traditional ISD into our system because of the way that our courses are aligned. But although you worked with it this year, you've accepted several high school students. So that kind of gives you an overview of the district campus enrollment and attendance. The next item is facilities. Just to kind of give you an update on facilities, we currently have a porch that's being built in Tyler. That porch will connect that wing of modulars to the main campus here. So the students will not have to walk around through the parking lot and that area. And there also will be a fence there as well. So we're really excited about that addition that's going to allow for safety on the campuses. In Palestine, we have finalized, from my understanding, we finalized the location. They began to go in and draw off where the modulars will sit. The layout of the modulars is pretty much finalized. Dr. Sherman, can you think of anything else that we've talked about? We are meeting with the Development Council on the 25th. During that time, we'll talk with them about any questions they might have.
Maybe on that date, we'll receive what that looks like. Or is that something we could access then?
No, and that's a safety issue. We can actually show you the what is that called? The blueprint of the campus. Right. And we can't post it for parents because in the event that someone that wanted to come in and formulate any type of terrorist attack on the campus, they could see exactly where the layout, like the entries and the exits and the way the campus is made. We can tell you the specifics as far as, describe it. We can say that the campus has X number of classrooms. The campus has X number of offices available up front. We did make a few adjustments for bathrooms, which is advantage. We do have a bathroom facility up front, which will keep parents from having to access or visitors having to access the main building, which is advantage in Longview. So if a parent shows up and they have a child and they need to go to the bathroom, or that parent needs to go to the bathroom, they don't necessarily always have to access the main building, which would be where the students are to go to utilize the restroom. So there is a restroom up front. And then when you access the main buildings, it really is just kind of a straight facility where the classrooms are on both sides. There's a bathroom as well there in the facility. And there's another bathroom towards the end. So really it's made up of offices, access, classrooms, and bathrooms. Very, very simple. Dr. Sherman, can you think of anything else?
15,000 square feet.
And we will be moving the other two modulars that are on the parking lot. They will be moved behind the new modulars, so we'll allow for additional use as well. So we talked about different things that they could be utilized for because they are bigger facilities. So such as a cafeteria if we wanted to, if we had the space to utilize. See what else I'm trying to think about. We've talked about there will be a fence around the perimeter of the facility for safety issues. I think parking lot has come up about, that's something that hasn't been approved at this time, but that is something that I know that is in discussion about looking at, and really how many students will we have, high school students that are driving, how many teachers do we have, how many nursing students are enrolled. I know that that's something the university will be monitoring very closely to look at the usage there as well.
All within the budget that we've been described last.
No, our budget is set as far as, it's for that building. Yes. And I think the fence is included in the budget, the building's included in the budget, the dirt work, the groundwork, all that is included. There is not a playground, for example. Someone asked, there's a playground here. The playground's not in that budget. We will be looking at other opportunities, such as working with maybe the Development Council, or we can utilize our budget. So our budget was utilized to purchase a playground facility here in Tyler and in Longview. And so the district budget could be utilized to purchase. That's just what we're actually under the umbrella of what we're borrowing from the university, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay. That's good.
And so our hope is that facility be finished by, the end of or sometime in the spring. So that's our goal. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. I know. I'll come out. Anything else? Any questions about the facilities? Any other questions that the board has that I can address for them? Dr. Sherman, anything you want to address? Okay. All right. At this time, I show it is 1:34 on Thursday, September the 13th. Do I have a motion to
Mr. L?
do I have a, is he saying bye?
Yes. Bye-bye.
I think I'm on.
Hey, can you hear us?
I think it's him personally.
Oh, he's good. I think he's just saying good. Okay, so now it is 1:35 on Thursday, September the 13th, 2018. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, a second.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor say aye. Those opposed? No one opposes.